What is up, boxing fans around the world? Here from the illustrious, elaborate, high-tech, cutting-edge studios in my basement. And man, what a fight week it's been. Been a lot of energy here in Las Vegas. And it's your man Sean Zittel reporting from Las Vegas. Been at the MGM Grand all week long, covering David Benavidez and David Morrell in I might be the most excited for a fight I've been covering since Crawford and Spence. I know these guys don't have the accolades to their names that Terrence Crawford has, but I think the eye test shows that both of these dudes got speed, got power, got skills, got a mentality to go for the knockout when it presents itself, and this is going to be a hell of a fight. It's going to be a hell of a fight. So Chance says you've been busy with them interviews. Keep it up. I am, and I'm a little tired from work, but a good kind of tired, man. This has been a lot of fun, and man, I'm pumped for the fight. Adrian Wells, thank you for the super chat, brother. Thank you for the super chat. I want to rock with you guys for about an hour, and then leave around 7 p.m. West Coast time. I'm gonna take my family to go see the movies. Dogman, which I'm sure will be like the Godfather of kids movies, I'm sure. But yeah, looking forward to that. But Adrian Wells, want to thank you so much for that super chat, man, to get us kicked off. And let me say what's up to everybody who was kind enough to join us shortly. Selena Meyer, aka my wife, Caleb. What's up, Caleb? Thank you always for the support. Playa Sports, Chance, Clev, all you guys, man. Thank you guys for rocking with me. I don't know how many people we're gonna get in the live, but let's talk some boxing. Let's talk Benavidez-Morrell. Let's get right to it. I think. And Pete the Jacket. Peep the Jacket, little HBO Sports. This is a HBO type of fight. Although it'd probably be on World Championship Boxing and not pay-per-view back in the days. But this is in 2025 a hell of a fight. Let's get to it, man. I got Benavidez. I know some of you guys will want to talk about some of the heated back and forth we had after the final press conference yesterday, where in a point, maybe making too much of a point to show the fans, show the audience that, hey, everybody who's followed me knows I'm a Benavidez guy. I went up to Big Bear to cover him before he became the super middleweight champ, the youngest super middleweight champion. I saw something in him at 19 years old that made me go visit him drive up to Big Bear and build a rapport with him. And so you guys know I'm a Benavidez guy. So in order to show my professionalism, I challenged him throughout the lead up to this fight. I've been challenging him for years now. And in this fight, I asked him about Memo Heredia's past because he brought up the issue of VADA with Morrell. And so I know the fans, they want somebody to ask about that. And, I asked about that. I asked about Morrell maybe playing mind games on him. He keeps assuming Morrell is just scared and afraid of him, and he might in some level be, although it's hard to say fighters are ever scared. Even David Benavidez said that to Andre Ward in their Art of War interview. But maybe Morrell is shrinking just a little bit under the bright lights. I talked to someone who runs these fights, a well-known and respected woman in boxing. You guys might know who I'm talking about. I don't want to name names, but I talked to her afterwards about that heated back and forth with me and Benavidez, and she goes, this guy's not playing the Art of War, David Morrell. He's shrinking. This is his first time under this kind of atmosphere, these kind of bright lights. And what she told me was his bravado was much bigger in Florida and Miami just over a month ago when they met, and she felt like he was shrinking in that spotlight. Is David Morrell shrinking, or is he playing David Benavidez like a fiddle? I asked Benavidez about that. In the Art of War, hell, I'll look it up right here about the Art of War, the temper thing right here. The Art of War, caloric temper. All right, and what it says in the Art of War, and maybe this is what Morrell is doing, is if your opponent is of caloric temper, you seek to irritate him, pretend to be weak, that he may grow arrogant. Maybe that's what Morrell's doing. Maybe without having read the book, he innately, just being a fighter, is implementing this mental warfare to combat Benavidez, trying to run him right over like he's going to try to run him over once he gains steam tomorrow night at the T-Mobile. So, we'll see. But I think Benavidez is one of those guys that can fight well angry. Some athletes are like that. Kobe Bryant was like that, where usually you get in a guy's head, so to speak, you get them off their course, you get them off their game a little bit. But some of the athletes out there, the elite ones, if you getting in their head works against you. It only feeds their fire. And a rider from Arizona, my guy Norm Framheim, brilliant rider from Arizona, old OG in this boxing. He's been covering it well since the Tyson days and before. And he told me Benavidez told him, I need that. He said he learned that in the Alexander Gvozdyk fight, that I don't function as well. I don't get the best version of myself when everything's respectful. I need some bad blood. It'll bring the best out of me. You might want to counteract that by saying, well, maybe that's part of what made the Caleb Plant fight so difficult in part, was he wanted to take Plant's head off. And like Andre Ward was recommending to him in their interview, not using the lead hand a lot, just looking to explode with both hands and take Caleb Plant's head off. But the number one thing David Benavidez said he learned from the Caleb Plant fight is to not look for the one shot. And that he's thought speed in this fight and combinations. He's been talking combinations. And so I think that's a big reason why a lot of people are picking Benavidez, is that right there, experience. He's went 12 rounds with a sophisticated back foot fighter with a very high IQ in Caleb Plant, Demetrius Andrade. And when you got two guys, really, I think Morrell's a Cuban monster fighting El Monstro, the Mexican monster. They both hit hard. They both have speed. They're both hungry and in their athletic, physical prime. But Benavidez has that experience, and I think that'll play a role in tomorrow night. Now, having said all that, there is a nightmare scenario in play. I said this on Sean Porter's show. I'll say it again. Not only can Morrell win this fight, possibly, I think if Morrell does win this fight, I could be wrong, of course. I don't see Morrell winning a pitched battle. I don't see him winning a back and forth kind of classic fight. I think if Morrell's going to win tomorrow night, he's going to basically dominate. He's just going to be all wrong for David Benavidez. And he's going to show why fighters don't take this kind of fight very often anymore. High risk. David Morrell's a higher risk than he is reward. Because there's a chance Benavidez could beat him and still not get a lot of credit from certain people. Who was Morrell anyway? He was 11-0. He was a bunch of hype. That's what they would say. The eye test tells me that wouldn't be fair to Benavidez. Morrell is really fucking good. So that's why if Benavidez prevails tomorrow night, he's the guy. Like, he's taking a risk tomorrow night that fighters don't really take anymore. He could have fought Jesse Hart on the undercard of a Tank fight, but he's ambitious. He wants to be one of the key fighters, the faces of the sport. And so rather than bitch and complain about Canelo not fighting him, he took on the guy that was his boogeyman, the guy that fans think he wouldn't fight. And so if he gets past this fight, this is the speed trap fight. He's either going to get pulled over to the side by David Morrell and never get to fight Canelo, never get to fight Beterbiev and Bivol perhaps, or he's going to get past this big risk tomorrow night and shoot right to the top. I truly believe that. David Morrell doesn't have any accomplishments to his names that Canelo Alvarez, Arthur Beterbiev, or Dmitry Bivol have, but he's 26 years old and big and hungry and athletic. And Bivol's the youngest out of those three at 32 years old, maybe 33. Beterbiev's basically 40 and Canelo's 35. These guys got a lot more, not so much Bivol, but who Benavidez did well in sparring with. And people always like to say it's just sparring. Benavidez is always running his mouth about sparring. I got a theory. Benavidez bested Bivol in sparring, not just because it's sparring, not just because he loves to do great in sparring and brag about it. Maybe Benavidez did good against Bivol in sparring because he's better than him and he would beat him in a real fight. That's my theory. But if Benavidez can get past this guy, this very dangerous, didn't have to necessarily take this fight, he's not going to get beat at this division for a minute. I think he beats the Beterbiev Bivol winner, and I think he beats Canelo. And I think that's part of why Canelo has thus far avoided that fight. But everything I'm saying could come undone tomorrow night if David Morrell is stepping around him, putting together all his physical talent and tools, and fights a beautiful, perfect fight. Totally possible because all the things Benavidez is nitpicked about, squaring up, standing too straight up sometimes, slow feet. Maybe Morrell can take advantage of it like Caleb Plant could, but unlike Caleb Plant, he's a big, strong, 175-pound guy with power. And so Benavidez ain't going to be able to just walk through that and be the bigger, stronger guy. Maybe Morrell's all wrong for him. But to get technical with the fight, look, one thing I noticed about Morrell, I think I got Benavidez between 7 and 10 by TKO, and I think Morrell's going to jump out to a good start in this fight. But Morrell, when he gets confident and when he attacks, Morrell has a good game. I mean, he's very dynamic, but he likes to get the weak side angle, that southpaw, get his lead foot to the outside of the orthodox lead foot, and he's savvy. He'll throw a right hook to the body, boom, straight left hand up top. But the thing is, he feels comfortable attacking with his lead hand being dropped because he gets his head off the line. He takes those nice angles. He gets his head off the line, boom, straight left hand, or the right hook. And again, he'll level change. He'll throw the right hook to the body, get the head off the line, throw the straight left hand up top. Maybe Benavidez is too slow with the feet to catch up to that. We'll see. But what I think is going to happen at some point is Benavidez, who has a better high guard than Morrell and has underrated reflexes. People acknowledge he has fast hands, but they don't realize he's a little fast twitch with the upper body reflexes too. He stands straight up sometimes. He's got a tall frame. He's not Canelo, who gets low with those quick reflexes. So sometimes it doesn't jump off the screen the way it does with a shorter Canelo or a Mike Tyson or my man Sean Porter when he was young. Tall guy, so he's not getting as low with the head movement, but he has underrated upper body reflexes. And I think Benavidez can catch. He has a better, tighter high guard, and he can catch something Morrell's trying to do later on in the fight. Catch and shoot, boom, with the left hook. And that was my Teddy Atlas. He can go, bang, like Teddy Atlas would say. And Morrell, who drops that lead hand when he gets creative with his offense, boom, he could get hit with that catch and shoot left hook. And another thing for Morrell is, for all his athleticism and all his footwork, we've seen, and he takes angles while going downhill, but it's all been pretty much downhill. The fancy footwork, when he does a quick little Ali shuffle and he does little things with his feet, he doesn't punch off of that. We haven't, and I know he's this great Cuban amateur, to be a great Cuban amateur, you got to know how to box off the back foot. So, but the thing is, and as a professional, he's been looking for knockouts to avoid that boring Cuban fighter from the Olympic program and all that. So, kind of like Andy Cruz right now. Andy Cruz lately been fighting in the pocket. But we all know he won that gold medal with his back foot game. And so maybe Morrell, like Andy Cruz might do one day, yeah, I've been fighting in the pocket. Yeah, I've been fighting downhill. Now it's time for this big man Benavidez. It's time to bring that out of the back pocket and bring it all together. And that's how Morrell can win this fight, putting together all his great talent, but still, he's been fighting downhill. And he even said in basically the All Access, the lead up to the fight on Amazon Prime, he likes to put on the pressure, so do I. We're going to see who's stronger. That ain't the way he wins this fight, in my opinion. Again, could be wrong. He's got to walk Benavidez into shots. He's got to be effective on the back foot. And he's got to be a good counterpuncher. He's got to walk Benavidez into shots. If he tries to, even if he's taking the angle, but if he keeps trying to fight downhill, it could be a big problem. Now, that said, a very hilarious fighter that a lot of you love, who also is Cuban, that should be enough context clues, told me that Morrell is going to dominate Benavidez. He's all wrong for Benavidez. He said Benavidez is square, Morrell is a southpaw who fights at an angle, and Benavidez is going to be lined up for a straight left hand all day. But David Benavidez, a lot of the American fighters now are more Floyd Mayweather disciples. Devin Haney, even Teofimo Lopez, Gervonta Davis, etc. David Benavidez came up in the wild card when Manny Pacquiao was in his prime and his older brother would spar Manny Pacquiao. So keep that thought about Pacquiao for a moment here. Pacquiao had technical flaws. You could watch him on tape and you'd go, when he gets hit, you can outbox him. You can touch him here and there. He gets wild. this and that. You could take advantage of his aggressiveness. But ultimately, Pacquiao had a mixture of speed and power and work rate and balls that just overwhelmed guys. And I think Benavidez ain't Manny Pacquiao, but I think he's got some of that. I think he's more of a Pacquiao disciple in that regard. Yeah, you could touch him. Yeah, you're going to hit him. Yeah, he may make some technical mistakes here and there, but that mixture of speed, power, punch output, and balls is overwhelming. And I do think at some point, after maybe being behind early, Benavidez is going to start to cook Morrell. And I think, unless Morrell is just brilliant on the back foot and he could be the perfect boxer puncher who picks his spots to go toe-to-toe with Benavidez in the pocket and then use that Cubano footwork to walk him into shots, maybe. But I think that pressure is going to mount. And I think, again, the defense of Benavidez is a little underrated. Statistically, that's true. CompuBox isn't gospel. But people sometimes talk about David Benavidez as if he's Jaime Munguia. No disrespect to Munguia. But some people talk about like he's just come forward and just get, he's so easy to hit. I don't think so. I think if you look at the Gvozdyk fight, shout out to my man True School Sports, one of the man, Brendan Taylor in the chat. We rewatched the Gvozdyk fight, and we watched it because upon initial viewing, after those first 7 rounds, we weren't that impressed with Benavidez up to our expectations, which are very high for David Benavidez. We went back and watched Gvozdyk and the shifting with his upper body, and he said he studied James Toney. You saw a little bit of that in there. It's underrated, and that Gvozdyk fight was a little underrated. Gvozdyk showed up to survive. They didn't show up to really win rounds, and Benavidez was fairly dominant in that fight, more than I even realized that night. And defensively, with the shifting of his upper body, was impressive in that fight, especially the first 8. So I don't think Benavidez is going to be, at least after the first 2 rounds when he adjusts, because he has an underrated IQ, I think he's not going to be as easy to hit as Morrell thinks, calling him RoboCop. And I think Benavidez's bread and butter, what stood out to him, to me, when he was 19, is I saw a potentially special offensive fighter, a guy who's very dynamic and creative on offense, who can throw every punch in the book. His feet are slow, so if you move on him, it makes it hard for him to do that a little bit. But against guys that aren't really pure back foot boxers, this is why I'm excited now for the next stage of Benavidez's career. Morrell can move and Bivol can move, but fights like Beterbiev and Canelo and even Morrell tomorrow night, because again, I think Morrell has the talent to box, but I think his temperament, his real temperament by nature, he believes in his power. And when you sit down on your punches from the first bell, it's much harder. It's easier to come out boxing and then turn up the heat and start sitting down on shots. It's much harder to do it the other way around. It's harder to come out and sit down on shots, although it can be done, especially if the game plan is to hit the guy with something good early and then settle down. Might be Ronnie Shields and Morrell's game plan, but typically it's harder once you sit in on your punches from round 1 to switch it up and try to box, really back foot box after that. So I'm excited because Plant came to box David Benavidez's ears off. Gvozdyk came to survive. Andrade came to box David Benavidez's ear off. I think Morrell is coming to knock him out and do it intelligently. And I think we got a great fight tomorrow night, man. I'm juiced. I think we might get a classic. And again, I think Morrell's going to get off to a good start. I think Benavidez will adjust. I think the intelligent pressure will mount. And I think that potentially fantastic offensive skill set of Benavidez will shine through, and he'll make some believers, and he's going to show people he's one of the best offensive fighters in particular in the game. Now, overall, perhaps a top 10 pound for pound guy, but I think that offense is going to be something to behold once he really catches a beat on Morrell. So we'll see, but got a quick super chat. Says the only reporter I could listen to, professional, says fishing with the boys. Thank you, my brother. So let me see. There's a few things I wanted to touch on here. Well, you guys saw. I'm sure me and Benavidez get into it a little bit. So here we go. Let me show everybody here. And by the way, yes, sir, your Jim Lampley was a fan of the jacket, chat. He liked the jacket. So here we go.
I took the fight from him. I mean, when I told them I want to make this fight, they're put in a position where they can't say no. But now that the time is here, you look at him, he's scared. He's not saying nothing. I could tell in his eyes. When I could feel somebody's fear. And I felt 100% with David-Morrell. He's scared of me.
David.
He was going at you from
yeah, because they're all nervous. They're all nervous. He's mad because I exposed his ass that he's taking more money from David-Morrell than David-Morrell's making himself. So that's all I got to say.
David, in the art of war, it says if your opponent has a temper, irritate him. Do you think, though, that maybe that's what he's trying to do?
Bro, at the end of the day, like, I'm cool with you, but every time you do interviews with me, you're kind of, like, throwing, like, indirects and shit. Like, that's what it's been like with you.
Say again?
With you. Like, what? That he's so...
I said say again because I literally couldn't hear. I'm behind 3 or 4 other reporters. So I'm not face-to-face with Benavidez right there. So I'm like, what? I didn't even hear it first.
Is that that's what you think he's doing?
No, maybe. I'm asking.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe he is. Maybe he is doing that. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, then go ask him about his art of war and everything.
Well, I did, and
yeah, okay. Well, then, but at the end of the day, we're selling fights, right? Would you rather me be up here like, oh, it's a good fight?
No. Are you the kind of guy where getting under your skin actually helps you?
Yes. Okay. Yes. I'm trying to sell the fight because I'm trying to sell pay-per-views. I'm trying to have people interested in this because if I'm not saying nothing, this fucking guy's not gonna say nothing. At the end of the day, people are paying our money for this fight. They want to see something, so let's give them what they want to see.
So a little testy there, and then here's part of what maybe I'm wrong, but I think part of what really kicked off that kind of sentiment from Benavidez towards me, maybe it was a little bit of this stuff back a couple weeks ago here in Vegas for his media workout.
David, Morrell, he wound up responding to the talk in Florida when VADA testing was brought up, and his response was it's fear on your end. It's something you're bringing up as an excuse because of fear and you're scared and all those kinds of things.
It's not an excuse for shit, but when you go through other fighters that say, hey, I was tested by VADA, but then David-Morrell was not tested, it brings a lot of questions up, you know what I mean? I'm not the only fighter that says this. There's been 2 other fighters that say this. They say that David-Morrell, we're talking about a Betco, they say he was tested the whole camp, David-Morrell was not tested, and after the fight, they didn't do no test, no drug test, which is kind of odd to me. But I really don't care about that. Even if it was on steroids, I'd beat the shit out of him. But,
it's a great quote.
If you're a dirty fighter, you will get exposed. You know what I mean? That's why they were making such a big fucking deal and they didn't want to test. But dirty fighters will be exposed in this game. You know what I mean? And it's not good for the sport and it's not good for people, to use steroids. So, I'm not going to let that shit slide.
What's this? All this talk of the VADA testing and everything. Like, what do you say to fans who they wonder about a relationship with a guy like Memo? And I know Memo's a hell of a strength coach, but given his past, just while we're talking.
So if they were worried about doing fucking steroids and this and that, why the fuck am I the one trying to test more? If we have a guy that we're taking steroids supposedly, like how you're bringing up, why the fuck am I calling for more VADA tests? You answer me that. So if there was anything like that, if anything, I wouldn't even want to test VADA. So why am I calling for VADA? If we're doing anything dirty, why am I calling for VADA? Why am I trying to test more VADA?
I hear you, but the same fans who would ask that, I know the next thing they want to say is Victor Conti has an association with VADA. So sometimes they look at VADA with speculation.
I don't know. I mean, we're calling for the test. We've been doing as much tests. We're making this clean boxing. Steroids shouldn't be taken in for anybody in boxing. So that's why we ramped up the VADA.
So yeah. And so part of me doing that, part of me did feel bad after yesterday because I'm wondering in my own personal inner turmoil where a lot of the fans, a lot of the audience are saying, okay, you go after Canelo about ducking Benavidez. You're going to go after Benavidez about this. You're going to go about Benavidez about that. And, I got a little bit of what the fighters have. I got that fire inside. I want to prove myself. I want to prove I'm the best. And if the fans are saying you won't ask your favorite fighter, you won't ask the guy that you've been big on since he was 19, 20. You won't keep that same energy. It's like, you know what? Yes, I will. Just to prove something that I'm not just going to play favorites, that I have, professionalism and objectivity. But part of me felt a little bad in retrospect because Benavidez is not a withholding character. He's a hard on the sleeve guy. He's not a guy you gotta poke and prod because he's withholding and he's coy. He speaks from the heart. So, and then it ain't his business to get caught up in my personal trying to prove something and all that. You know what I mean? And so part of me did feel bad, and am I asking this because I really want to ask it, or am I asking this to prove a point that I'm objective and all this stuff? Either way, I still think everything I asked is pretty fair. I do, but at the same time, you're cutting weight and you're getting a bunch of fastballs, and sometimes if you throw heat, so to speak, as a reporter, you're gonna get burned too. You're gonna get some heat thrown back at you. So, I still feel like, part of me, I felt bad. And then part of me also felt like, hey, David, you didn't get upset with me. Canelo can't get through a fight week the last 4 years without me asking about David Benavidez. It could be Munguia. It could be Charlo. It could be Bivol. I remember back, actually, almost 5 years. I remember back in the pandemic when he was getting ready to fight Callum Smith, and they only let a few of us in the bubble, the DAZN bubble. And I was asking about Benavidez in December of 2020. So for years, I've been hounding Canelo Alvarez about fighting David Benavidez. I asked Canelo, what makes you different? In the NFL, Tom Brady still has to play Patrick Mahomes no matter how old he gets. You got to play the best. LeBron James still has to face Giannis Antetokounmpo and Luka Doncic. What makes you any different, brother? Like, you still got to fight the top dog. If you want to still be the undisputed champion, if you still want to prove you're one of the best fighters in the world, you got to see this dude, or else you're done. Like, you're bullshitting, And so it's like, hey, to Benavidez, if I'm gonna do that to Canelo, I got to do it to you now too, because Benavidez isn't the underdog anymore. He's the favorite. He's not the guy trying to just chase Canelo and nobody will give him a shot. He's on his way if he wins this fight and can get big opportunities against Beterbiev Bivol and Canelo, and maybe I'm freezing a little bit, my bad. You are now, when you get to a certain level in boxing, it's bigger than you now. It's not just about your agendas and your goals as a fighter. You now have, whether you like it or not, and this, like Gervonta Davis gets mad at this stuff, the sport is on your shoulders now. You're one of the essential fabrics, in boxing at the championship level. So with that becomes more responsibility, and maybe the fight. Oh shit! Am I still good, chat? Are we still good, or did I lose you? We still good, chat? Shit. Let me refresh. Just let me know I'm still good. I didn't know if I froze up on everybody. Anyways, the point being, with more power and influence comes more responsibility in anything, including boxing. And yeah, so I think some of the fighters, they get thrown off by me because when they're on the rise and they need help to even establish an identity in boxing, in a sport that struggles to have an identity in America, it's kind of like, I'm on your side. I want to get your story out there. I want people to know you're a good young fighter and etc. But then you become a champion, and then if you're special, the transition comes where now it's more than just about you. You got the sport on your back, and that's when I do turn up the heat a little bit, because I serve the sport first and foremost. I serve. Look, media means medium, meaning I'm the medium between the audience, the fans, the public, and the talent, the fighters, the business, the people who work in boxing. So I'm going to put it to you guys like this. Yo soy su gallito, okay? I am your rooster, okay? I'm willing to risk, even though I don't even want to. Sometimes I don't even want to ask these questions because I empathize for the fighters. I deeply respect them. I love boxing. I don't want to have to be that guy sometimes, but you know what? Just like sometimes they don't want to get up and do the road work. They don't really want to go out there and fight this dangerous fight or answer the next bell because they're hurt and they're tired. If you want to be great, you got to do it. And so I'll ask that shit that some of you guys want. I'll ask it, out of principle. So all that said, man, I think Benavidez, what he's doing is great for boxing, taking this fight. I think he's going to win. I think it's going to be a hell of a fight. I wouldn't be shocked if he loses because Morrell's talent. But right now, when fighters are struggle to move the needle in the United States and they're taking big money from Saudi Arabia, boxing needs a David Benavidez. They need a guy who's both talented and elite enough to actually fight with the best fighters in the world, but also exciting. Not just boxing needs fighters that are top 10 pound for pound skill and ability wise, and while simultaneously being top 10 pound for pound exciting fighters in the sport. And I think Benavidez can fit that bill. And that's what I meant earlier by he's more of a Manny Pacquiao disciple than a Floyd Mayweather disciple. That's no diss to Floyd. Floyd was a greater fighter than Pacquiao. They were both great. All-time greats. The two best fighters of the last 20 years or so, maybe more. So it's not a knock on Mayweather, but I think the game needs a little bit of that Pacquiao energy, a little bit of I'm gonna get hit, but I'm gonna hit that motherfucker more than he hits me, and that people enjoy that kind of stuff. So we'll see, man. He's got to get past this guy. This is the speed trap. He's either gonna get pulled over or shoot right to the top, because these other guys are much more decorated than Morrell. But it's like the boxing gods are gonna bless you for taking a fight that most people wouldn't. A high risk kind of medium reward, if not low reward fight. You get past this guy, that shows a level of your character as a fighter, and I think he won't be denied thereafter. Or he'll get dominated tomorrow. That's why I'm excited for this fight. Very excited for this fight. I'm trying to rack my brain for any other things that I want to say or think. But otherwise, let them rip, chat. Throw some things my way. Again, I could see Morrell winning. Not just winning, but dominating. I think if Morrell is going to win, I think it's just because he's all wrong for Benavidez. He's his kryptonite. He's going to stylistically have Benavidez' number. I don't see Morrell winning a pitched battle. I think he's either going to front run and dominate, or Benavidez is going to drag him to deep waters. Morrell has never been hurt. He's hardly lost rounds. And you're asking him under the bright lights of the T-Mobile in Vegas with 11 fights to have to navigate deep waters really for the first time. Not against a veteran, not against an older guy, against the in his prime, seasoned killer in David Benavidez. So, I got Benavidez between 7 and 10. My man Brendan Taylor, True School Sports, he said that it could be that right hand, that sweeping kind of that really cool trajectory he put on it, kind of like Golovkin used to do to Marco Antonio Rubio, that kind of sweeping anchor right hand that he dropped Andrade with against the southpaw, but I keep seeing a sequence where it's a catch and shoot left hook. When Morrell starts to feel comfortable offensively and fights downhill, he'll drop that lead hand, so we'll see. I think Benavidez takes him to deep waters and drowns him. We'll see. And then as for Fulton and Figueroa, I got Figueroa. I think that Figueroa's got the momentum. He's a little younger. He was bigger at 22. He's going to be bigger at 26. There's a chance that Inoue took a lot from Fulton, both physically and mentally. It wasn't just that Inoue. It's one thing if you lose a fight with a pressure fighter like Figueroa and he just clubs you into submission. You're hitting this motherfucker with everything you got, and he's just walking through it, and he's just stronger, and he clubs you into submission. That's one thing. But it's another thing when the fight like Inoue, where you get outclassed, and you get outclassed in areas and avenues that you felt you were very elite at. Fulton was a was a borderline top 10 pound for pound guy, was probably a top 15 pound for pound guy when Inoue did what he did to him. And he completely dominated him in all facets of boxing across the board: footwork, hand speed, counterpunching, power, everything. I mean, it was one of the biggest blowouts at the highest levels we've ever seen. And you got to wonder if that just took something away from Fulton he'll never get back. But that being said, I talked to Fulton this week, and I think he's coming in with the right, kind of like we're talking about Benavidez, where, you know, you don't want to come in angry. That no. Some guys can thrive off that. I think Fulton knows, you know, Figueroa is going to drag him into a war again. He dragged him into a war the first time, and Fulton pulled it out. You know, Philly grit. But I think he's coming in surly. I think he's coming in a little surly because he needs to go to a dark place for the kind of war Brandon Figueroa is going to drag him into. And I came away liking Fulton's chances this week more than I did entering this week. But all that said, Figueroa is young. He's got the momentum. He's got the size. And if Fulton, firing on all cylinders as a super bantamweight, couldn't outbox him, couldn't tame him and turn it into more of a boxing match than a brawl, how's he going to do that with more ring rust and less momentum and more pounds on him in a rematch with Figueroa? I think part of him is adjusting to that by, like he did in the last 5 rounds against Carlos Castro, he's ready to sit in the pocket and try to hurt Figueroa and not just try to, I mean, he's going to mix it up. He's inevitably going to try. He has the better skills from the outside. He's going to do that. But, you know, maybe he knows he's in for a fight and he's going to try to hurt Figueroa right back. And we've seen with guys like Jaime Munguia and Oscar Valdez, that Mexican warrior come forward style. Brandon Figueroa's brother, Omar, you know, you can only come forward in that style and take so many punches for so long in your career before it catches up to you. I just don't think Figueroa is at that stage. I think he's at his peak right now. So I got Figueroa, but it's a good fight. What's up, H Money Mob? You got David Morrell, the next Muhammad Ali. The next Muhammad Ali. I don't know about all that, H Money Mob. He might pull out the upset tomorrow, but Muhammad Ali, I don't know. Stephen A. Smith said that's blasphemous. Jonas Sr. says, Sean, go up on my comment. Raider Reaper, what's up, brother? Pete Carroll, baby. Looking forward to covering that, man. Where's it at? Infinity Boxing says, even Sean ain't confident enough that Benavidez is going to beat Morrell. I mean, no. I mean, look, this fight opened in Las Vegas is nearly 50-50. Benavidez was only about minus 150, minus 140, something like that. I think if we check the odds now, it's swelled all the way up. It's swelled all the way up to, I think Benavidez is as high as minus 250 now. Let's see, Benavidez-Morrell odds. Benavidez all the way up to 240. So that's a good sign for Benavidez because that means the sharks, the big money, the smart money, now that fight week's here, is betting on Benavidez. So yeah, but to your point, of course I'm not 100% sold he's going to win the fight. David Morrell is big and athletic and hits hard and has speed and is a southpaw. Like that's a daunting task for any fighter. So, but if Benavidez is a great fighter, he's going to handle his business at some point against Morrell, and you know that experience will show up, and I think that's what's going to happen. But we'll see. This is a hell of a fight. Now, there was someone who wanted me to read their comment up ahead. Trying to find, okay. Where are we at? Let's see. Man, I'm trying to find you, brother. What's up, Highness? What's up, Infinity Boxing, Life and Logic? Of course, True School, Remy, Ogun. Glory to God, King Ezra. Everybody was good. Someone said, always ask tough questions, but do it respectfully. I agree. And I'm trying to find that balance. You know, I'm trying to find that balance between, you know, let me ask the stuff that maybe other people take pride in that. This is something the fans want asked, but everyone's a little shook to ask it or doesn't want to risk this or that. Let me do it. Let me be the gallito that I said. But I don't want to be an asshole. At the end of the day, if these guys don't get in there, train, risk their lives. Now they're doing it for their own self-determinism. You know, they got their own goals and families they want to feed. So I don't want to make it sound like they're just going in there risking their lives for our entertainment. No, they're going in there risking their lives so they can get ahead in life and prove themselves and all kinds of reasons. And, you know, I never want to, you know, be an asshole. You know, I never want to do that. So I respect the fighters. I have empathy for all of them, even the ones I may not get along with sometimes. They're all fighters. And without them, I'm working at a school somewhere, in a library or somewhere. You know, my life isn't as cool because I don't get to cover an amazing sport, even though the sport can be kind of retarded sometimes. But it's still the best sport in the world, even when it's being like that. So, you know, so yeah, let's see. Let's see. Morrell and Benavidez can beat Yard or Albert Ramirez. Bivol beat Morrell and Benavidez, and Beterbiev can beat both back-to-back. H Money Mob said, Sean, stop capping for David Benavidez. Where's the cap? Where's the cap, H Money? It's Morrell time. Well, no, brother, you got Morrell, I got Benavidez. You know, we're going to see what happens. It's good to have you in the chat. My man Town Business says, I always try to respect these boxers, even the ones I don't like. Town Business in the building. Sean, your team Benavidez, stop capping. Brother, if I was team Benavidez, I wouldn't be throwing fastballs to get him wanting to kick my ass a little bit. You know, I do that. But I don't hide the fact that I like the way he fights. I like his style. I've been big on him since he was 19 years old. You know, when he fought on the Victor Ortiz, Andre Berto, you know, undercard in their rematch back in the StubHub. You know, I saw something in him right away. He jumped off the screen. And so, yeah, I believe in his skills, man. I believe that he's something the game needs. And we'll see. We'll see if he can live up to that or not. So, let's see. Let's see here. What's up, Tycho TV? Infinity Boxing. Yeah, I'm trying to... What else? Well, let's take a look at the weigh-in real quick, I suppose. Even though you guys have probably seen that already. But let's see.
He's the former... With a record of 11-0 with 9 knockouts, he is indeed undefeated. The hard-hitting southpaw, the two-division world champion, Benavidez-Morrell.
Internet is struggling. The video quality on this is super good. It's just my internet.
David Morrell weighs in at 174.2 pounds.
Morrell's got great genetics. You know, like he's just got great genetics.
174.2. And now here his opponent, the interim WBC light heavyweight champion, 29.
You got to worry about that for Benavidez. He was heavy at their photo shoot. You know, a lot of fighters back in the day used to do that. You'd see Oscar De La Hoya, Sugar Ray Leonard, Roberto Duran. They'd get soft in between fights. And then they'd go in that lab for 10 weeks and go nuts and then, you know, come in shape. But again, you know, you never know. Benavidez could be a little weak, melting those pounds off in camp. We'll see.
24 knockouts, popular and undefeated knockout artist, two-time two-division champion of the world, the Mexican monster, David A. Monstro Benavidez.
But you know what's a good sign about this for Benavidez? 1 second. No.
174.2 for Benavidez.
So is this Morrell winding Benavidez up, not obliging him in the kind of energy he wants? You know, ferocity versus ferocity. We're both talking shit. We're, you know, we'll make it fit. Or you know, or is that Morrell, you know, like I said, your opponent is of caloric temper, irritate him, appear weak so that he may grow arrogant? Or is Benavidez just ready to kick his ass and he's shrinking a little bit in the spotlight? You know, I don't know. Or neither. He's just being himself.
At this point, we don't want to see the fighters too close to each other. It's a true grudge match. The stakes are high. This is the last time they'll face each other before they meet in the center of the ring tomorrow night for the unified light heavyweight championship of the world. The Mexican Monster, David El Monstro Benavidez versus Benavidez-Morrell.
Look, at the end of the day, I don't remember too many great fighters sticking their tongue out and saying peace and love right before the biggest fight of their career. I don't. I'm not saying that means Morrell's not in a great headspace, or maybe, you know, again, maybe he's all wrong for a bit, but I'm just saying, how many great fighters do you know behave like that before a summit meeting, before a 50-50 type big Vegas fight? I don't know too many. Terrence Crawford wasn't acting like that before Errol Spence. Terrence Crawford was acting a lot more like David Benavidez, which brings me to my next point. We all love, don't we, that scene in Rocky 3 where Mickey's talking to Rocky, and you know, he's explaining to him why he doesn't want to go through with this Clubber Lang fight. He's a killer. He's hungry. They were good fighters, but they wasn't like this guy. You know, David Benavidez is a little bit like that guy that Mickey was talking about. And what he told Rocky was, the bad thing you did is you got civilized. You got civilized, right? And you tell me who's acting civilized and who's acting uncivilized. Errol Spence was acting civilized. We're going to make hella bank. We're making money. Money, 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 money. Meanwhile, Crawford couldn't get through a press conference without wanting to beat the shit out of somebody on Spence's team in the crowd. Like, uncivilized. Terrence Crawford is still uncivilized. Something Canelo has to worry about. I think Canelo should win that Crawford fight, but Canelo is civilized. You know, Canelo is they're both family men, but Canelo, he's married, he kisses his wife and holds her hands at the post fights. Terrence Crawford is still putting dudes, myself included, last week in a chokehold. Now, he came up from behind. You know, we all know it would be a little different if he came up. And I'm just kidding, but yeah, he's still uncivilized, and Benavidez has been unfucking civilized. And to go back to that Rocky 3 joint, that is a good thing for a lot of fighters heading into the fight. You know, not always. Mike Tyson was uncivilized, and Evander Holyfield tapped that uncivilized ass twice. So, but you get my point.
I need some over there. All right. He's saying that over there.
Come on, man. I'm just saying, you know, Manny Pacquiao would make a smile and everything, but there was a ferocity and an intensity behind Pacquiao's calm, gentle demeanor that Morrell, to my eyes, isn't possessing.
They're causing ruckus, man. You know, it's all love.
All right, there you heard David. You see in his eyes in that final face-off.
Finalmente le quiero mandar un saludo a toda mi gente, toda mi raza de México, de Phoenix, Arizona. Los quiero mucho. This Saturday, like I said, all the talking is done. I want to beat the fuck out of David Morrell this Saturday.
David, he said yesterday, the Mexican Monster, that name, it's just a myth. Is it going to be a myth tomorrow night?
I'm going to beat the fuck out of David Morrell.
He's like, I don't know how many times I have to tell you guys this.
See who the Mexican Monster is this Saturday.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, one more time for the Mexican Monster, David El Monstro.
Like, he just wants to smoke, man. He wants to smoke with reporters, with Morrell, with Canelo. He just wants to smoke. And, you know, also, like, again, he's the guy who was on Shannon Sharp and Andre Ward. Like, he's the main character Saturday, not Morrell. But that doesn't mean shit in boxing sometimes. But we'll see. Got Benavidez winning. I think this is going to be a badass fight. Wouldn't be, again, I think if Morrell wins, I think he's just kryptonite. He's just all wrong for him. And he wins going away. But I think instead what we're going to get, pitched battle. And Benavidez will start to mount intelligent pressure. Not just pressure. He's going to show some head movement, some shifting of the weight. Very dynamic, creative punch selection, hand speed, power, ferocity. And I think that'll pile up as the fight goes on. And I think, you know, between about 7, 8, 9, 10, 7 and 10, I think he stops Morrell in a hell of a fight. And I think Morrell will have to navigate the loser's bracket and will eventually get a rematch with Benavidez. This is just how I see it playing out. But not right away. Because if Benavidez gets past this guy, he deserves to move on to the big established names. The winner better be at Bivol and the winner and Canelo eventually. But I don't like the talk of cruiserweight. I know David Benavidez talking about I could fight Zerto at cruiserweight and then come back down. I don't think so, man. Like that didn't. Roy Jones got up to less than 200 pounds. The weight limit back then, I think, was still maybe 190 at cruiserweight. Now it's 200. So you go all the way up around 200 pounds, man. Good luck getting back down to 75. And if you do get back down there, good luck being as strong as you can be. So I don't like the Zerto fight. Zerto's not even the best cruiserweight in the world. It's Jai Opetaia. And nobody's asking for Jai Opetaia and Benavidez. Benavidez got to go after the Benavidez-Bivol. And I know, I love that he's trying to build a name in America and sell fights in America as opposed to, I'm struggling to make huge money in America. I want more money. Let me just sell out to Saudi and do that. Let me just go overseas and take kind of, their money. And but that being said, the winner of Better Be a Bivol is the light heavyweight champion of the world, no questions asked. And you got to prove your greatness by going over there. You got to fight. They're the A side. They're the champion. Got to fight in Riyadh. Got to take a deal Turkey gives you. And you got to prove, because there's still going to be doubters after the Morrell fight, because Morrell is unproven. He's super talented eye test wise, but he's unproven. So a lot of the detractors are going to say, who was Morrell anyways? You're still going to get killed by Better Be Ever Bivol. So he's got to go over there, handle his business. And then maybe his reward for taking that kind of chance overseas now you will get Canelo in his idea. An idea I thought up before he said it too a little bit. Undisputed versus undisputed. And there's so many what ifs. But if Canelo can get past Terrence Crawford at 68. If David Benavidez could get past Morrell tomorrow night, a huge if. If he could get by the winner of Better Be a Bivol, a huge if. But ifs that I think he is capable of, then Canelo Benavidez, undisputed versus undisputed. The catchweight, why not? I didn't think of the catchweight part. I was like, I guess Canelo would just have to move up to light heavyweight in this scenario. But, okay, catchweight, and it's on. So, but that could be a bit of a fantasy pipe dream, but we'll see. Morrell wins, then what questions are there raised? Well, he may have exposed Benavidez for all the flaws people talk about. Standing upright, squaring up a lot, slow feet. Is the power that real when he's fighting bigger men? All that stuff could get exposed. And I'm left dissecting that about Morrell. But, I think Benavidez is the truth. I don't think he's a lie. So we'll see. We'll see. He might, and what we might get is two special fighters. Maybe Morrell is special too, and he'll be wrong for Benavidez, but Benavidez will show he's still a hell of a fighter too, and both of them are the future of the light heavyweight division, with Bivol getting into his 30s and Better Biev either 40 or nearing 40. So we'll see. I'm excited, man. What's up, Malcolm X Box? My brother always supporting me. Nick J, shout out to the Queens of Boxing podcast. They are hilarious. One day they might have to cook me, because they're equal opportunists. Maybe one day if I'm fortunate and blessed, I can get a big gig and I'm one of the guys they gotta cook if they think I say some BS on a show or a card or whatever. But shout out to the Queens of Boxing. They are hilarious and they know they're boxing. Happy to have them in the chat. Teddy G said, first time seeing your channel, bro. Love your content. Tomorrow is fight night. Thank you, sir. Kevin Sopoveda says, very excited for this fight. Also says, Morrell looks bigger. Joel's Bandana said, Canelo can't move up. He's too slow and his conditioning is horrible on top of that. Salute from Laredo, Texas, from Ruben. What else? Nobody's asking for Zerto Benavidez. I agree. It's a good fight, but nah, I mean, you got to fight the Russian monsters. You got to be the Mexican monster, got to fight the Russian monsters. And, I damn near pray to see Benavidez and Better Biev. I need to see that style matchup. I think that fight will be fucking amazing. But if Bivol wins, and right now, top of my head, I got to sink my teeth into it and really break it down. But off top, I probably give the edge to Bivol. He's a little younger. I thought watching it live that Bivol pulled it out the first time. Upon rewatch, I was fine with Beterbiev getting the decision. But if Bivol wins, look, that's a beautiful opportunity for Benavidez to endear himself to the Mexican audience. You know, like I was joking earlier, yo soy su gallito. It's like, hey, man, I will succeed where Canelo was a little too small to prevail against Bivol. I'll put on for the Mexican fans, and I'll beat him. I'll make him pick on someone his own size as opposed to Canelo. So, you know, that's where it's at. He's got to fight the winner of Bivol, but first things first, is this speed trap. Is David Morrell going to pull his ass over, or is he going to go right by him straight to the top, like I thought he was capable of way back when? We shall see. But yeah, man, it's just about that time for me to have to go take the family to see Dogman. I'm sure this will be highbrow art. I'm sure it's going to be an amazing movie. No, but we're just addicted to theater, popcorn, and snacks at this point. You know, we're just going there for the popcorn at this point. The movies suck most of the time. But anything else anybody else has got for me, you know, let it rip. I might have missed a super chat or two earlier. Let me make sure I didn't. Steven Gonzalez saying, how do you see Fulton versus Figueroa going? I touched on it earlier. I think Figueroa is younger and has the momentum. I think Figueroa is one of the most consistent and effective body punchers in boxing. He takes a lot of punches, but I don't think he's at the stage Jaime Munguia or Oscar Valdez are at. I think he's at his peak, where this ain't the time that's going to be taken advantage of. The punishment he tends to take fight after fight. I think he's still young and strong and will prevail in this fight. And you know, I wonder how much the Inoue loss has left a permanent impact on Fulton. But that being said, I give Fulton a better chance heading into Saturday night than I did at the start of the week, because I think he's coming from a dark, surly kind of mind state, and he wants and he knows Figueroa is going to drag him into the war, and he knows that, and I think he's prepared for that, and I think he's prepared to let his Philly balls hang, you know, Meldrick Taylor against Julio Cesar Chavez style. So it should be a good fight. Molly Mall says, is Benavidez putting up a Hall of Fame resume if he wins? No, he's on his way. You know, Caleb Plant, Anthony Durrell, Alexander Gvozdyk, Demetrius Andre, David Morrell. You're on the right track. But Hall of Fame, Molly Mall, he's got to land the Beterbiev Bivol winner. He's got to fight a guy who's on the pound for pound list, who's a champion. He wanted that opportunity with Canelo. Canelo didn't give it to him. So he's got to fight with the big boys, with the big Russian monsters at light heavyweight. And if he could beat them, now we're talking Hall of Fame. Let's see here. Molly Mall, Keyshawn versus Albert Bell at 135. Oof. You know, much love to Albert Bell. You know, tall, good lightweight. I like Albert Bell. Two different levels. Keyshawn Davis is a potential pound-for-pound stalwart. He's like we're talking about Benavidez trying to shoot up to the top and be one of those main guys at the championship level of boxing, one of the faces of boxing. That's the trajectory Keyshawn Davis might be on. And Albert Bell is just a good veteran, a good fighter, a solid fighter, but Keyshawn might be, you know, a great fighter in the making. So I got Keyshawn Davis all day against Albert Bell. No disrespect to Albert Bell. Let's see here. Plant versus Morrell. Who has faster hands? I think Plant by a little bit. And I think Plant has a higher IQ. And I think Plant is a more natural back foot fighter. But that being said, Plant doesn't have Morrell's size. He doesn't have his power. And he might not have. Plant doesn't have a very good right hand. He's a very left hand guy. Great jab, great body jab, great left hook. And you know, he knows it's kind of like De La Hoya. Like, it's not that he doesn't throw the right hand well. He does. He has good technique on the right hand, but for whatever reason, it doesn't produce a lot of oomph like a power hand normally would. So Morrell punches hard with both hands. He's bigger, younger. Hasn't been knocked out by Canelo. So Morrell, in many ways, is more dangerous, but I think Plant has better pure hand speed, and I think he has a higher IQ, and I think he's a little bit more naturally comfortable fighting backwards. So we'll see. So we shall see. Oh, Raider Reaper. Where did I miss it? Where's the super chat, Raider Reaper? I would never do you like that. Where's it at? Where's my man Raider Reaper at? Where's Raider Reaper at? Raider Reaper, where was it at, brother? Just ask me again, man. Raider Reaper, ask me again. I can't find the super chat for some reason, so just shoot me the question below, and I got you, brother. Just waiting on Raider Reaper, and then I'm going to get up out of here. Go see Dogman. Plant versus Berlanga or Munguia. Both good fights. Both good fights. I'll take Plant in both, but his legs looked a little rusty, man, against McCumbee, and McCumbee did drop him. So, I don't know. Those are very competitive, interesting fights. Raider Reaper, where you at, brother? I want to. Okay, here it goes. It's all good, bro. Have a good night with the family. Okay, all right, forget it. I got you, man. Whatever it was, I was ready to answer it. But thank you, Raider Reaper, for the support, man. Pete Carroll about to turn this thing around. I'm not saying he's going to win a Super Bowl. I don't foresee that necessarily, but I do think he's going to return the Raiders to some respectability. So we'll see. Nick J says, enjoy your evening. Can't wait for tomorrow night. Same thing, man. I'm excited too. Have a great night, Nikki. Shout out to the channel again. All right, that's about it, man. I'm out. We got a good one. I think I'm going to go live. Stay up late. I think I'm going to go live after the fight, after the press conference, the post-fight. You'll all either be telling me, I told you so, Morrell this, or we'll be talking about Benavidez ascending to true stardom. So we'll see. It's going to be a good-ass fight. I know that. God bless all of you. Have a great fight night tomorrow night, and let's meet back tomorrow here around midnight, maybe half hour past midnight, and I'm sure all you guys will still be buzzing with the adrenaline. I know I can't go to sleep till 4 or 5 in the morning after a big fight. So much love. Pitbull gets the KO. Super chat from Hubris to God. I've covered Angel Fierro fighting. But I don't want to pretend like I've done a bunch of tape study on that fight this week. But no, I think Cruz is about to put the beats on Angel Fierro. So just reading the fight week energy and knowing that Cruz is a legitimate, pretty top caliber fighter. He's one dimensional and all that, but he's a legit guy at the championship level. And Angel Fierro has been brought in for Pitbull to bounce back and regain some momentum. So I think Pitbull's going to do that. All right, guys. Catch you later. Peace. Oh, look, I'll go Morrell. I'll go Southpaw tonight.